All right, so we can get started. I prepared a really short PowerPoint that'll just go over some of the different things to consider when figuring out how to navigate through these next 4, 6, 10 weeks. So we'll go through that really quickly, and then after that we can open it up to questions, and guys that have individual things that they're concerned with, we can address those one by one. So let me share my screen. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Soon. Hold on. Okay, can you guys see the PowerPoint right now?
Yep.
Yes? Okay, cool. All right. So going through how to stay ready through COVID-19. All right, so the first step is evaluate your current situation. What were you doing prior to the shutdown? Were you throwing since December, or did you start in January? Were you getting ready to pitch in games? Those types of things. What were you planning on doing? And then top of that, the next step is, what have you done these last 2 weeks? Have you kept throwing? Did you completely shut it down? I know it's tough for some guys to go outside and throw, or they don't have a partner, or they don't have anywhere to go. So there's a bunch of different factors that have definitely been impacted over the last 2 weeks. And then what kind of equipment do you have access to? Seeing a handful of guys building mounds, which is really cool. So do you have access to a pitcher's mound? Are you a pitcher? Do you have PlyoCare balls that you can throw? Are you throwing them in your basement? Are you able to throw in a backyard? Are you able to go to a field and throw? These are all things to factor in. Do you have an open field where you can throw? Right. So just going through the different things of, all right, what can I do with the resources that I have? Next is, what are some of your goals? So are you primarily a pitcher looking to get ready to stay ready for games? Are you a position guy who's only focused on velo? Are you a catcher? What are your goals? And then how does that change based on the reality that we're probably not playing games for a little while? Okay. And what's the timeline like? So usually when creating a plan, we're gonna we know what timeline we're working with. We know when the season starts. We know when you have to be ready to perform at your highest level. That's what makes this situation so unique, because the president yesterday just said he's pushing the avoid non-essential travel and gatherings of 10 or more people until April 30th. So that probably means the absolute earliest we'll be playing games is May 1st. Next would be May 15th, which is about 7 weeks. And then after that, which is, the 15th of the 1st are probably a little bit more realistic expectations. Those are 7 to 9 weeks away. So now how does that factor in to what you need to do to be ready when it's time to play? A couple other things to factor in. Your workouts have probably dramatically changed over the last 2 weeks. So what's the impact that's going to be on your overall strength and power? And then especially for guys that are tight and have some range of motion uh, limitations, how are you able to continue doing some of the exercises that helped you get some flexion or some internal rotation or um, working on your hip mobility, right? Are we able to still move through the same range of motion that we may have gained over the winter? And then, of course, factoring in important factor in sleep and nutrition as well. Um, my sleep habits haven't been great. I imagine that's pretty consistent across the board, or maybe it's not. But are you able to sleep 8 hours? Are you staying up till 4 in the morning? Are you going to sleep at 11 or something like that? Right. So understanding what your body is, what you're doing to your body, and how to prepare that for throwing and training. Um, and the last thing, nutrition. Again, I don't know how everyone else's nutrition has been, but mine's been kind of hit and miss. So, are you able to still fuel your body properly while you're going through this weird maintenance off season shutdown period? Um, that was it. That was the gist of the things that I wanted to discuss. Is really not so much of tell you exactly what you should do, but more of introduce the different things that should factor into your decision making. So, you know, we can go through individuals if you guys want. Um, and if you guys have individual questions for me, that would be great. I can kind of go through maybe a couple things and what I'd recommend and what for a given player in a given situation. Um, and we could take it from there. But do you guys have any questions first?
Hey George, this is John Bedurk. I have a question.
Yeah.
Grant's an 11U guy. Um, Catcher, pitcher, plays all around. Gets a lot of throws.
Yeah.
Um, his arm strength's probably not quite where it should be at this point in the year. But what's your guides in terms of how often we should throw per week and how many throws? I mean, we kind of follow the Jaeger methodology,
Yeah.
long toss and, bring it in and J bands. But, you know, I'm assuming June 1st is when we start up again,
Yeah.
realistically.
Yeah.
So, we try to get out 3-4 days a week, probably 40 throws a pop. But what for 11U
That's
type, what
that's
kind of,
generally what I recommend. 3 to 4 for 11 and under, 12 and under, 3 to 4 days a week. Is more than enough for throwing. Some guys, if it's hey, I just need to get outside, yeah, throw that fifth day. That's fine.
yeah.
And then keep working it back. I mean, right now you're looking at potentially 9 weeks, 7 to 9 weeks before we play games. So that's plenty of time to get the arm ready.
Okay.
First couple weeks, if you're just starting to throw, keep it light. And then gradually, as you build up that arm strength, keep extending that long toss back. So you're growing both the distance that you're throwing and then also the volume of throws or the number of throws. So doing that over a systematic way for the next 4 to 6 weeks is what I would recommend.
And what's your theory on the long tosses? We work out, we follow the Jaeger methodology where you want to get an arc, get your body out of mechanics, be loose and easy. Is
Mm-hmm.
that your kind of philosophy too? Or like
Yeah.
what's the
Yeah.
philosophy then?
I love long toss. I think it's great. Builds up arm strength, lets you be athletic.
So you're
Yeah.
more the guy of, get arc on it as you're going out, as you're working out, get the arc under it, right? Not like the old school when I played, it was throw on a line as far as you can. Now it seems to be,
There's good arguments for both sides. I think that some guys, for younger athletes, stick with, you can try to throw as far as you can, right? That's a cool thing to do. It's fun. Um, as guys get older, right, there's not a lot of, I don't know how much benefit there is from like being able to throw 300 or 350 or 400 feet compared to like that directly translating to mound velocity. Obviously, the further you can throw, the um, the further you can throw, the stronger your arm is. But are those things transferring directly to the mound? So I'm fine with guys throw. A lot of guys like to throw it as far as they can. That's fine. I think especially for younger guys, it's a good thing to work in those habits of, all right, yeah, I'm trying to throw it as hard as I can and as far as I can.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So is the summer season definitely canceled?
I have no idea. I don't think so. I mean, I would say that by, it's tough to say. I can't really give any comments on things that I have no knowledge of. All I know is the president just said avoid gatherings of 10 or more people until April 30th. So the absolute earliest we would be playing the absolute earliest we would have a gathering of more than 10 people in an organized fashion would be May 1st. So sorry if I'm sending some bad news to you guys, but that's just the reality of the situation. So hopefully once this thing gets cleared up, we'll be able to play some baseball. But yeah, the reality is, guys, you have around probably 7 to 9 weeks before playing games. So what that looked like for most pitchers in the off season, right? We all plan to get ready for that first week in March. So those 4 preceding weeks, most guys were throwing 2 pens a week. And then the 2 to 8 weeks prior to that, guys were either doing pull downs or some kind of max effort velocity work. So that's kind of the timeline we're playing with. If you could roughly say you're playing with an 8-week timeline of, hey, I've been throwing, you can almost go back into an off-season mode. If you're able to, that could be a lot of high effort long toss, a couple days a week. That could manifest a few different ways. It could also be, if you really want to get your stuff sharp off the mound and you have access to a mound and you can throw bullpens, you could throw 1 to 2 a week. Younger guys, I would say 1. And then older high school guys, I would say upwards of 2. If you're able to. But yeah, this is a very unique situation where we all trained all November, December, January, February for March, April, May, and now that's not. Now that's more like we're in this limbo maintenance period. I would say generally, make sure you're still throwing and keeping your ability to throw, so that when we do start games again, your body's prepared for that. We've been talking a lot. Does anyone have questions? Matt, do you want to add anything?
How many pitches do you think we should be throwing, during when we start throwing bullpens again?
Start out with 15 to 20, and you can build it up. most guys that were if you were throwing all winter, right? I mean, you could start to build up and keep progressing to 20, and then maybe go a couple sets of 20. I think if you're getting more than like 40 to 45 pitches in a bullpen, it's tough to keep focus and get value out of every pitch. So that's sometimes a scarcity or a lack of volume there is somewhat better, and then you build up that volume either facing live hitters or in a game situation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, does anyone want to go through their own personal situation? We could take it. We can go through and say, hey, I've been throwing for 2-3 months, and then now I'm shut down for 2 weeks. What should I do? Does anyone individual want to say like what? We can kind of talk through this on the call.
Well, for me, like I kind of threw all the way through. I took like a couple week break in the fall, like near Thanksgiving, 2 or 3 weeks, and then since then I haven't really stopped throwing. But a few weeks ago I got tendonitis, so like from overuse. So I kind of shut down. I've been I started throwing again like a week and a half ago, but ever since this happened, I kind of this is like my 5th day in a row that kind of took off. So I was planning to take off like 2 more days and then try and start throwing again.
Yeah. If you have something acute or some inflammation, definitely give it time to calm down and then slowly work back in. The one good thing is, again, you do have time. So as long as we're taking it easy those first couple of weeks, build the arm back up, and then gradually work back into some more higher effort long toss and some bullpens, to get through that tendonitis.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is that like good, Cade? Yeah, I'll stop sharing my screen. Does anyone else have anything that they want to go over? Guys that want to talk, discuss their own situation. Gavin?
So with this whole thing, if the season's canceled, will a lot of the guys deload and then go through a whole new velo cycle, or no?
Well, the way I see it is like we could get to games, anywhere from, I said it's tough to know the timeline, but like the earliest would be like May 1st. We could think May 15th or maybe even June 1st. So in general, I would say there's not a whole lot of need to like shut down, because this is the time where you'd be in season. So just being able to stay ready and keep training through this time.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions, comments?
22.
Matt, do you have anything to add? Anything that maybe I didn't touch on?
No, I think you covered just about everything. I mean, reach out if you need anything. Any questions that you have on what direction to go into. Like George said, you're going to have like at least 4 to 5 weeks minimum to keep yourself ready. So, but I would expect at least another 2 weeks or 3 weeks on top of that. So just make sure that you're ready for that point, because you don't want to. Games are going to come fast once this breaks. So you don't want to be the guy that's out because he was sitting around.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, like the worst thing you could do is not be prepared when the season starts, right? So you have time to play with some different things, whether that's a lot of long toss or bullpens or just building up. But the biggest thing is that there's no reason to be unprepared now for your season. So just figuring out what works for you is the goal. And again, yeah, if you guys want help with that on the individual level, just reach out to me or Matt and we can help set up that plan for you. But
Yeah,
I
and to
think,
touch on what George just said, I mean, this is an opportunity for you guys to kind of like explore what works for you best. There's no coach there with you, so kind of figure out a way, like what kind of plan works best for you, especially by yourself, and what way you can get something out of your throwing still.
What's up, Carter?
all right. I'll open it up. If anyone has any more questions, ask now. If not, shoot me an email or text or DM, whatever. The best way to get in touch with me is. And if you have any further questions. All right. And I think that's it. Thanks, guys, for hopping on. And we'll be in touch. Be in touch soon.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dad.
Thank you. Bye.
Carter.
Have a good rest of the week.
You too.
See you, George.
See you.